The thing that really excited me was the fact that it could enable students to individualize their learning and the approach that they were taking, using the artificial intelligence to be able to sort of push children in a particular direction based upon what their prior knowledge was. This was something that I suppose is what teachers are all looking for, really. We want to try to individualize, but obviously it's, I suppose, the workload and the time and the effort that it requires to do that is quite significant. So one of the things that we've encouraged our staff to do is to take advantage of the diagnostics, to actually assess where the children actually are at the start of the sequence of learning. So we would get them to do the diagnostic assessment, and then we've built in the nuggets into either sort of plenary time at the end of a sequence of learning or sort of as homework tasks, which children can do. We've also encouraged the children to not restrict themselves to what the teacher is setting. So basically, if they want to go off at a tangent and they want to learn a little bit more about a particular activity, we basically said, go for it. You are free to use the platform as you see fit. And it fits in really nicely with the other suite of sort of online learning platforms and things like this that we actually have. The integration sort of with the curriculum is really, really good, and it's been a real benefit for students and parents. But one of the things that we tried to do is to strike that balance between traditional ways of learning, but also obviously having students online. So Century has actually sort of given us that because it's made it more focused. And one of the things that we sort of really like as a school is the fact that there is that sort of real focus, and they're really drilling down into the curriculum, into the areas which are important in order to help them learn and to move on. We've also sort of tried to raise awareness, obviously, with the children too, of celebrating success. So it's not about, number of hours that are on the platform, but it's about the scores that they're achieving on those particular nuggets that they're actually taking. And the teachers have utilized the sort of the platform very well to also identify sort of areas of strength and areas of weakness as well. So actually having that data and that dashboard has been very, very good for helping teachers identify where that extra support might be needed for certain students. For me, it's really helped with student I suppose identifying or interventions would probably be the best way of putting it. We can identify kids who are making an effort, those who are maybe sort of working hard but not being as successful, and those are the ones that we really want to work with. The kids who are maybe being a bit lazier but are being very, very successful in what they do. What we try to do is to encourage them and stretch them more in sort of other ways as well. But one of the feedback from staff really is about how it's enabled them to be a lot more sort of individualized in what they do with their students, and also reduce their workload in the process, because of course they're getting that instantaneous feedback. They're not having to be the ones who mark sort of that homework assessment. They can sort of see the feedback that the platform is giving them, and then they can talk about this with students and say, well, actually, you might be a bit weak in this area. This is what you need to do possibly to improve. And that's been sort of a game changer really for our staff. I think it's been great. One of the things, obviously, as a high performance learning school, we're trying to encourage our children to be independent and to have high expectations of themselves, and sort of Century has enabled us to do that. Traditionally, when we've had sort of online platforms before, some of the kids have sort of seen this as being sort of like almost a tool that they use just before an assessment or just before they're doing an external examination. What we've tried to do is encourage them to do little and often. What they're doing is continually revising and going over things as they go through the year. And again, providing them that with independence. So although teachers will set homeworks and will sort of set specific nuggets that they want the children to do, or diagnostics, for example, we're also saying to the kids, look, if you've done a nugget and you've not done particularly well on that, and the teacher's maybe not had enough time to go through and sort of say, well, actually, I want you to do that again, you should be taking the responsibility yourself to go back over that learning. Okay, and it doesn't matter if you do it once or twice or three times. as long as it's sort of reinforcing your understanding and sort of helping you to get better, that's the important thing. What I would suggest really is to get parents on board, and that's something that we didn't do straight away. What we had to do is to convince them that, well, actually, this is part of, this is just one prong of, say, the trident that we're sort of trying to use when we're educating your child. It's not literally just going to be that they're online at a computer, sort of working on Central all the time. The teacher is, of course, going to be sort of teaching them traditionally as well, and sort of enabling them to sort of develop the skills that they need in order to become, high performance learners, for example. But what Century is doing is giving that support, is giving that I suppose that diagnostic feedback on how the child is doing, and then that enables us to be a bit more clever about how we sort of work with your children. And I think really, so what I would do if I were to do this all over again would be to get parents in there right from the outset. And I think actually it would be a lot easier now because the world is changing. Everybody sees what AI is doing and how AI is working and how it can be used in sort of education. And I think that parents are a little bit more savvy now on actually sort of what sort of adaptive AI can do in order to help their children become better learners.